Hi everybody and welcome back to Kevin's Upfront Opinion today. So, today what I thought I'd speak about was what would my daughter say about me as a father. Now, the reason I thought I'd speak about this because I was at a meeting this afternoon. Okay. And the person I was meeting up with was somebody I've known for quite a while. And he surprised me with a question. And it was a completely left field question. And it was this. It was actually two questions. First part of the question was really easy to answer. If you're a father, anybody should be able to answer it the same way, pretty much no matter what. Second part of the question, I was unable to answer. And part of it was I was too scared to think of the answer. And this was the question. First one was, what do I think of my daughter? In reference to my eldest daughter. Okay, so any father wouldn't even have to think twice about that. To think twice, either you're a pretty awful person or something pretty awful has had to happen between a father and a daughter for you to think twice and to have to think of an answer for that. The second part of the question, okay, was this. When he said to me, what do you think your daughter thinks of you as a person and as a father? And I thought, you bastard. I thought, of all the questions to ask me, you asked me that. And I sat there for 5 minutes and I said to him, I don't know. Because I've always been of the philosophy, you've always got to be honest with yourself. And I haven't always been the best father, especially to my eldest daughter. I was actually been an awful father, if I'm actually brutally honest with myself. And in some ways, I ended up turning into my own father. And the reason I say that is this. I never saw my father until I was 19. Not really. He was on the scene on and off until I was about 6 or 7. And then I never saw him until I was 19. Now, some people may say, and I'll get a lot of aggro for saying this, that it was my mother's fault. She didn't want him around. To a degree, whether she would admit this or not, she went out of her way to alienate us from my father and my father's side of the family. So as an adult, I never really knew how to be a father because my mum had men come and go. And I'm not trying to say that as to make her sound like a bit of a tart or anything, because she wasn't like that. She just was with somebody, and one week they were together, and next week they weren't, and it was like that all the way through my childhood. So I never really had a stable person in my life, so I never knew how to be a father. So then it boils down to the reality of, was I there for her? Nope. Never there for my own daughter, my eldest daughter. Was it my fault though, which would be the fundamental question? And that's a yes and no answer. It's my fault because I never did enough for her. to be able to see her. So when I actually asked the question, what do I think she would think of me? I think probably she would hate my absolute guts. If I'm brutally honest with myself, I think she would absolutely despise me. And that's not because I'm a mean person, it's not because I'm a horrible person or a bad person, you know. So, because of the events that happened, and I never dealt with them personally, I personally think if she ever got asked, she'd probably say she hates me. Which isn't a nice thing to think, because I've never really had anybody hate me. Yes, I've had people that didn't like me because of my how competitive I've been, you know, in the industries I've worked, because I've worked in the sales industry for over 20 years, which meant I was extremely competitive, always trying to beat everybody. And sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't. And because of that, I'd rub people up the wrong way. But the one thing, and the one person you don't, well, two people really, you don't want to hate you, is your daughter and your wife. Now, I'd like to think my wife doesn't. You know, we've been together for long enough. What, we've been together for what, 11 years? But when it comes to my daughter, I truly think she would actually say, if she got put on the spot, that she hates me. And some of that is my fault. And this is why. And I always said I'd never speak about this. I even spoke to a friend of mine, a friend that I used to play cricket with, and I said to him, I would never say anything bad about my ex-girlfriend, because I've never spoken about it. The only person I've ever spoken to about what happened is my best friend who lives in Southampton, so he knows, and it took me 16 years to tell him. My wife, it took me 11 years to tell her, and that was only because she threatened to section me. And a friend of mine that I used to play cricket with, who I've known for probably a decade, roughly. I've known him for about a decade. So it took me a decade to tell him as well. And this was what happened. I had a child, which is my daughter, 16 years ago, and I had a falling out with the mother by making a stupid comment. And it was the dumbest thing any man could ever say. Absolutely stupid. Because looking back on it, you know, there is a funny side to it. Because she basically sent me a text message. And in that text message, she basically said, I will love you no matter what, forever. And that was the text message she sent me. And me being a salesman, and a bit of an asshole as well, to be honest, I can't hide that. I was an asshole. I can't believe I'm going to admit to this. I sent her a text message back saying, what even if I cheated on you? And don't anybody ask me why I said that. Because even myself, to this day, I cannot tell anybody. So yeah, I made this stupid comment. And it was a stupid comment. Okay.
Daddy.
Yes, Jasmine? Fine, you can have my dinner as well. There you go. Say bye to everybody.
Bye.
There you go. Right, sorry about that. So I made this silly comment
Daddy.
You want a fork as well?
Yeah.
Okay, take the fork.
Daddy.
What? What, you want the mince pies as well?
No.
You want the sauce?
Yeah.
You want some sauce as well? Okay.
No. There.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry everybody for that. So I made this silly comment and she held it against me. And because of that, I never saw my daughter. She stopped me seeing her for the last 16 years. And she was 16 in August. My daughter Amy. And at the end of the day, I've got nobody to blame but myself. Because I could have gone down the road and taken my ex-girlfriend Sophie Whittier to court. I could have done that. You know, but I didn't. And this was the fundamental reason why. Because I had been played off between my mother and father trying to blame each other. When my father came back on the scene, I didn't want my own daughter to be getting involved in a battle between two people that had split up, you know, because I never wanted to split up with Sophie, which would have turned into a battle of egos, because that's what it always does turn into. When people split up, it's about egos, it's nothing else. People don't care about the children. It's who can get the prize at the end of the day. And the way I thought at the time, I thought, she deserves better than that. No matter how badly I was going to hurt myself, my only thought at the time was what was best for my daughter. And looking back on it, I didn't do what was best for her. I thought I was at the time, but I didn't. And looking back on it now, it's probably the biggest mistake I've made of my entire life. Because I now know, and even as much as people have said to me recently, especially after I had a breakdown a couple of months ago, people said, she'll come looking for you. It may not be this year, might not be next year, but at some stage, every daughter wants to see their father. And I said, nah, I won't see her. As much as I do want to see her, and I desperately do want to see her, and the fundamental is I destroy myself every single day over it. Probably why me and my wife don't have best marriage at times. I'm not saying that I don't love her or care for her or anything like that, and why I wasn't really that great as a parent towards my stepdaughter or any of my other children, mainly because I got hung up on the mistakes I made with my first daughter. So when I think about it as a whole, I find it hard to believe that she would say anything but that I was an awful father. Now, I don't want people's sympathy, never asked for people's sympathy, and I'm not about to ask. Now, are there things that I can do to make up for it? Possibly. Can't go down the legal route because she's too old for that. She's 16 at the end of the day. I could do what everybody tells me to do. Wait 2 years. Wait until she becomes an adult and then go looking for her. I can do that, and that's what I probably would. Could I do anything in the meantime? Well, yeah, I could if I really wanted to upset the apple cart and really annoy my ex-girlfriend and her family, because obviously I do own a newspaper and I could plaster her all over the newspaper and online. Could quite easily do that. But is that going to achieve anything? And the fundamental thing is, would that cause more damage? More damage than I've already inflicted already in my life on her. So that's the fundamental question. What do you do? Once you already feel that you've lost everything and you destroyed everything yourself, and you've got nobody to blame but yourself, what do you do? No, because I'm already willing to admit I've been an awful father to her, because I have. I wasn't there, and I never went looking hard enough. I did look for her. You know, I hired solicitors, reached out countless times to her family, her sisters, my ex-girlfriend Sophie Whittier. And Sophie, I will put your name out there if I have to. So the reality is, what else can you do to try and change what's happened in the past? 'Cause you can't change the past. So what can you physically do? So let us know what you personally think in the comments down below, because the fundamental thing is, even though I've caused the pain myself, what most people don't realise is when you physically go without seeing your child, they don't realise, even though you may not talk about it, is how much pain you suffer on a daily basis. So for now, everybody, thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you all again a bit later.